All in the fam. All in the fam. Come on. It's all in the fam. All in the fam. Come on. Now get your hands up. 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 All in the fam. All in the fam. Come on.
What is up, fam? Welcome to episode 1 of Fam Fridays. This is going to be a live Instagram series that we're going to do every Friday up until the end of season 2. So if you're just joining and you haven't listened to the podcast, it's called All in the Fam. You can find it on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, as well as YouTube. We just launched a YouTube channel, so we'll be filming each podcast episode, and we'll have video segments as well. So welcome, Dianne. I see you, Haley. What's up, guys? So again, tonight is Fam Friday. We are going to have my girl, Dianne, on the show, and we're going to be talking about race in America. As you guys know, it has been a super tough week in America right now. It's sad, to be honest. You know, I had to check my mental health earlier this week, and I took 2 personal days off this week just because there was just a lot going on. I marched in 3 protests, and I cleaned up after 2 riots. I've been donating. I'm in the middle of a fundraiser right now. I'm doing my part in making a change for America and for my people and for police reform. Rest in peace, George Floyd. Rest in peace, Ahmaud Arbery. Happy birthday, Brianna Taylor, Queen. As you guys saw in my other video, I mentioned that, once you take somebody from the Black community, you hurt all of us. George was a brother, an uncle, a father. Ahmaud was a brother. Brianna was a sister, homegirl down the street. Like they are one of us, okay? It is a sad time, and we have to gather our sources from the right places. The media will tell us one thing and not tell the other side. As I posted on my story yesterday, there's a lot of narratives going on right now, and you have to use good judgment on what narratives is right and what narratives is wrong, okay? Being on the front lines myself in these protests, I see a lot of good. I see a lot of change coming. Change is already happening. Some mayors are literally pushing for police reform, have already passed laws, okay? Change is coming, guys, and we're going to keep protesting and marching until it does. So, I want you guys to feel at ease while you watch this episode. Normally, Fam Fridays, we planned it out to be super humorous and playful and joyful, but today it's just going to be a serious topic, just to pay our respects. And the state of America is really important to talk about right now. And, race relations, police brutality, that's something that we have to talk about. At the end of the episode, we will play a little fun game so we can be at ease and goof around and stuff like that. So I hope you guys enjoy that. So with further ado, and also shout out to my girl Mari. I see Mari. Mari is on board as All in the Fam's content director. So the past 2 months during quarantine, 2.5 months, I forget how long, we haven't been posting content because we have been planning, and we're finally launching everything right now. So Mari, thank you, girl. Appreciate you. All right, so with that being said, I'm going to introduce my girl Dianne. We're going to have her on. Let me add her to it. What's up, girl?
What's up?
Looking all pretty and shit.
Thanks for having me. Well, yeah, I mean, with the quarantine, you look like a bum every day. This is an excuse to look nice and presentable.
But damn, you don't have to make me look like a potato, but it's okay.
I'm a potato at heart. It's all good. These are false lashes, by the way. So.
Yeah, that I can't relate. I was blessed with the real ones, nice and curly.
Okay.
All right, let me introduce you guys to Dianne. Dianne has many attributes. She never sits down. This girl is a singer. She is a songwriter. She can kick your ass because she's a Muay Thai fighter too. She teaches boxing. What else do? You can draw, you can dance. What? Tell us 2 fun facts. What's up?
I can't can't play golf for shit. I honestly
Who
can't.
wants to play golf?
I don't know. Another fun fact, this kind of is a little segue to what we're going to talk about. I was not born in this country. I was born in the Philippines, and I came to the States when I was almost 9 months old. So,
Nice. Cool. Awesome. So, first and foremost, how are you feeling during this week, during this time?
Oh, I have such a heavy heart with everything that's going on and all of the confusion that's being passed around, but also my heart is warmed to see so many minds that we thought were kind of like a lost cause come to terms with what is happening and finally reaching that realization and understanding that there are other walks of life that lead them to believe what they believe. So that's really encouraging, and that gives the rest of us hope that there is going to be change.
Mm-hmm. I like what you said, that that there is hope for change.
I apologize for the dogs. Sorry,
them damn dogs, Zeus. For those of you who don't know, Dianne and I walked together on the streets of Wheaton yesterday during a very, I think it was the most peaceful protest. All the protests I've been at and seen have been peaceful, but this was truly like everybody was walking in silence. People were chit-chatting here and there, but it wasn't too much chanting or anything. It was literally a time for us to walk in solidarity and remorse and grieve what's going on in the country. And Dianne and I, being P.O.Cs, growing up in Wheaton, Wheaton's white. Wheaton is white. And to see the community come out for Black lives was beautiful. Over 1,000 people showed up. And I told Dianne and Paige and Emma and Justin, I was like, you guys, I feel proud to say I'm from Wheaton now, because now I know Wheaton cares about me. And that was such a beautiful thing.
They reached such like a development, growing up and being at Wheaton, Wheaton North. I've always felt like it was hard for me to relate to people that kind of gave off this character that they weren't as cultured as we would have hoped, or enough for us to feel accepted. So to see that progress is really something to applaud and feel definitely proud of. So
yeah,
it was an awesome and really humbling thing to be a part of that walk yesterday, and I was brought to tears, and it was great. This is going to be a historic moment.
Mm-hmm. A part of me, I felt, was like, man, should I go to Wheaton? Are people even going to show up? It might be lame because we know how Wheaton is. Yeah. But I was at the Aurora protest, the Naperville protest in Wheaton, and I think I was here talking to you or Paige, but the Aurora protest, I felt a lot of anger. And I just felt like, man, this country hates us. And I was just angry, and a lot of people I was with were angry. The protest was still peaceful, but that, it being Aurora too, the amount of minorities that live in Aurora, so you can tell what the demographic of the crowd was during the protest. So, I felt that anger, that oppression and stuff like that, and I was just so hurt by the police brutality and all that. So, and while we were marching back, everybody in their cars, we stopped traffic for at least a mile and a half. Everybody in their cars, honking their horns, chanting, saying Black Lives Matter. White people, Latinos, Blacks, Asians, everybody in their cars, kids, their dogs were barking, all in solidarity for us. Like, they didn't care that we were stopping traffic. They knew that we were stopping traffic for a good reason. And then the Naperville protest, it was much of a younger crowd, and it was much more of a white crowd, which is fine. Like, I'm glad, man, we have some great allies here, But with that crowd, it felt like we literally wanted to demand change. We were talking to the police officers, talking to the mayor. Though the mayor, I'm not even going to say my opinions on him right now, but the fact that we had those conversations and demanded change, that I felt like, okay, now we're going to a step forward. And then Wheaton, that protest, I just felt like, you know what? I'm okay. We're going to be okay. Things are going to get better. So yeah, Diane, what kind of experiences growing up in Wheaton, or just in general, do you want to like talk about, or like if anybody you know, if they shared any stories with you about their, interactions with police or racists or stuff like that?
So I'm glad I got to have the chance to talk to the people that I know personally, to really give them a platform to speak on what their personal experiences have been with this, so that people can understand you can't invalidate someone's personal experience because they've witnessed it. That's their life. That's something that is a huge part of it. So with my personal experience being in like growing up in poor areas, and specifically in one neighborhood, they're actually considered Section 8. I had to live in that fear every day. I witnessed the struggles that people in my neighborhood had to go through. Apartment has gotten broken into. Cars were vandalized. And then when we had one incident where there was a car or our car was vandalized, and then when the cops came, it was, I don't mean or want to make this like a race thing, but it was a Caucasian officer. When he spoke to me, I had no idea why we were targeted before he started talking to me and kind of like, pinging my memory. So he started being really aggressive with the way that, or condescending with the way that he was talking to me, making it feel like I was too dumb to understand what was happening or what he was asking of me. And he was saying like, really, you're going to lie right in front of your mom? When I was a kid, I never lied to my parents growing up. And I was just baffled. I remember.
Did nobody ask?
That's what I'm saying. Like, but that was such a distinct part of like my memory of that, because I was just so in awe and baffled at the fact that someone in that position of authority that's supposed to make you feel like you are protected would make you feel like you are being attacked. And he told me, he's like, are you okay? You look like you're ghost white. And I was like, I am. I literally felt like I was going to shit myself. And I felt like my soul left my body. And I had no words to say, because I was like, is this really how you guys talk to people? And then the black cop came over and he's like, let me handle this. And he talked to me in such a calm, comforting way to help me understand. I was like, oh yeah, I did have some altercation with a kid on the bus stop or whatever, and kids just being involved in that's another topic I was going to get into right after I speak of the other two people I spoke to regarding their experiences. So one of my friends that I connected with through like the fighting community, his name is DeMarcus, and he's actually currently a teacher assistant in Naperville. As we were talking earlier, I mentioned like when you get to know this person, he's very well spoken, he's very intellectual, he is very compassionate, and he's very like unassuming. So his experience with this whole thing, just to sum it all up and to keep it short and straight to the point, he was pulled over. He had his white friend in the car. He was driving him to his mom's house. I also had permission to speak on his behalf, and I apologize if I get any small details wrong. But essentially what happened, he was pulled over by police, and then squad cars followed. They blocked him off, and then they didn't come over to his car to ask or to, tell him why he was being pulled over. They automatically just yelled from their car, don't move, get out of the vehicle. Also, that's so confusing. Like, what do you do in order to, avoid any type of violence from the cop when they give you such confusing instruction? So he didn't know what to do.
Right, don't move, but get out the car. That's like your mama saying, say something else. But you told me to say something else, and then you get popped. It's like...
Yes. But that's such a dangerous situation to be in. He was saying, he's like, people can talk and talk and talk, but until you experience that yourself, it's an extremely traumatizing thing. So he got out of his, he stuck his hands out of the window. He's like, I'm getting out, and as soon as he did, his white friend was cuffed, put into the back of the car. He was aggressively pinned to the ground and was cuffed. The cuff was like hurting his wrist. It was on the bone, and he was trying to explain that to the cop, but the cop wouldn't listen. He was held at gunpoint. The cop held a gun to the back of his head. DeMarcus was not resisting. And while he was pinned to the ground, they were raiding his car, taking all of his stuff out. And then as soon as, he got up, they told DeMarcus, well, this was a stolen car from California. His response was, I've been driving this car for years. And then they didn't say anything. Also, I should add too, he mentioned that when he was pinned to the ground, they were all, standing around him making jokes. And then they didn't apologize, and then also made a remark saying, you should just watch your attitude when you talk to cops. Didn't apologize for making a mistake of cuffing him, holding him at gunpoint, made him put all this stuff back in his car in the middle of like a busy street, a busy intersection. It was embarrassing. It was traumatizing. And then what broke my heart and what he said to me was that when I was cuffed on the ground and I felt the heat, or maybe it was made up in my mind, maybe it was my emotions, I'm not sure. I was ready to accept that I was about to die from being a black man. To live your life like that, it's not okay for people to just, I don't care what political party you are from. This is not a political debate. This is about civil rights. This is about basic human fundamental rights. By saying that, racially motivated police brutality does not exist and it's a myth or it's a narrative, is disregarding every innocent black person's experience from that. These people, like my friend DeMarcus or my friend Saran, which I'll explain in a second, you're writing off and invalidating their feelings and their experiences with these cops. They were fortunate enough to have their situation not end in a death. These people's testimonies speak volumes. My other friend, or someone I met through the fighting community as well, Saran, he said he was on a beach with his white friends. Cops came over, accused them of smoking weed. Friends get arrested. He gets put in holding for 24 hours. Friends get released. His white friends get released. He stays there. And then the cop tells him, this was his first time being arrested, by the way. They weren't smoking weed. They weren't doing anything wrong, weren't committing any crimes. The cop told him, you're going to end up here anyway.
Wow.
So please tell me that this does not exist. It's just, so many things need to happen as far as coming up with solutions. It's just such a complex web of, of how this is all going to affect each other. It's not just like a one statement of, okay, let's fix it by this. Everyone has to come together to discuss how we can approach this,
And that's what the protests are for. The protests are for us to let our voices be heard. Okay. And once we're heard, let's talk about what we can do and let's make change happen. And that's literally where the lawyers and politicians and government officials come in.
Yes.
So, I shared, I think you saw LA, their mayor. And granted, do you know anything about the Rodney King riots in the 90s?
Very, very little.
Yeah, I know faintly, but I know Rodney King was beat up by the police and killed by the police, and it was like one of the very first cases where there was live footage of it. And after people got a hold of that footage, LA was in riots for days. Tell me that's not what's going on right now.
And here's the thing, people need to understand that there are opportunists that are taking advantage of this situation. But you also have to separate them from the people that don't know how else to react but in anger.
Yeah.
I don't condone any of the rioting and the looting, as I had mentioned before in my story on my Facebook. But
you understand why it's happening.
Yeah.
And honestly, there's been riots in every single country for change, for revolution, for rebellion.
People also have to
It's
understand
inevitable.
this was bound to happen. I mean, when you have, I also hate when people just bring up the argument of statistics and numbers.
They get their facts on WikiLeaks. Yup, all the Karens. That's where they get from. Girl, we ain't even, no. But quickly, I just want to go back to the LA riots. The mayor, he decided to, I think I'm going to misquote it, but $50 million will be cut from the police budget and given back to the Black communities. That's reform. That's change.
You also understand, too, people have to understand that a lot of the budget, people are like, well, defunding the police is going to do this, and this. Well, we understand that, but at the same time, look at how much money is going towards misconducts alone. Yeah. That money could be saved. There should be a no tolerance policy to where you're going to save all of that money on those lawsuits and
right.
Put it towards efficient training, more efficient hiring processes for the
stricter hiring process.
Mm-hmm.
And when we say defund the police, we're not saying abolish police. I know there's signs out there that say abolish police. That's pretty drastic. We're going to have to need protection in our communities, in every single community, yes. But there's just too much money going to the police where that money can be disputed. I can't say that word. How you say it?
Do what?
Redistributed.
Yeah. I struggle with that too.
I had a whole brain fart. But a portion of that money can go into different aspects in the community for that county,
yes.
For that town or whatever. So
it's difficult too because we have to look at this starting within our communities, and because police is not a federally regulated system, it's by counties, and not only that, they are controlled by mob-like unions that need to be disbanded.
Mm-hmm.
And we need to look at where our tax money is going. We also need to look at how we can reform the underdeveloped communities that have restricted access to a lot of things. Like Ben Carey and I were talking about how you can incentivize corporations opening up shop in those communities to have access to those things. And then, like, people are like, well, look at all the crime in those neighborhoods. I'm like, well, no, duh.
You put, and I was talking to my cousin Malik about this last night. You literally shove a whole bunch of Black people into one section of the city, and you deprive them of resources. Mm-hmm. They live in food deserts. They don't have the same education as people in Lakeview. What do you think is going to happen? You put more cops in the school system than you do counselors. These kids are already going through a hard time. Don't you think putting more counselors will help them mentally? Mental health is going ballistic right now. Everybody's, self-care. How about we care about the kids in the school? Take the cops out. It's
policing,
just so many.
I just had to say, policing also, that's what also affects the numbers and statistics. Oh, okay, well, we think we're going to have a safer community if we add more police. More numbers get reported that way. And also that there's more incentive to catch violent crimes, and it is really like a root of deprivation, because I was part of those communities and those neighborhoods. I had to live like that, and it is a struggle. And people, when you're desperate enough, you're going to resort to crime. It's unfortunate. I'm not justifying the criminal action.
Right.
It's just a matter.
You see the cause, and honestly, we're saying there's a cause and effect due to systematic racism, systematic injustice, and that's why these communities are the way they are. There's so much good in these communities, and I've seen it firsthand. Yes. There are so many amazing people who are literally trying to stop the violence and fight for these kids, man, and fight for these elderly people. And the media won't show the good in these communities. They only show the crime, which only incentivizes the police to police more. Mm-hmm. So,
and there needs to be funding that goes into paying our teachers better to have a better education, and not having to teach an entire classroom of 40 people. That's not practical. You don't get good education that way. Mm-hmm. and paying and funding for extracurricular activities to keep these kids out of trouble. There's a lot of solutions to that issue. You know, and it's unfortunate that when these people just look at opposing views and they're like, oh yeah, that's right, but don't actually look at the history of how those foundations were laid upon.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
read a book. People don't read no more, Diane. They don't read. They don't read. Read a history book, because in schools like Wheaton, Naperville, they're not going to teach us. They're going to teach us U.S. history, but they're not going to teach us the real U.S. history. They're going to give us they're going to give us the WikiLeaks version. I hate WikiLeaks.
But also, what I think another thing that needs to be implemented is really emphasizing educating those kids in the low-income, deprived communities about not necessarily politics, but understanding your local representatives and understanding the consequences and the benefits to which stance you take, and for them to grow up to develop that themselves, so that they are, you know, they do have more. They are enticed to vote. That's what I think is going to make.
And that's where change happens. It happens at the level that you vote for, like your small town elections. Mm-hmm. Your county elections, that's where change happens. Yeah, you're going to vote for Trump or you're going to vote for Biden. The change isn't going to happen at the executive level right away. It happens in your town. Mm-hmm. So people really have to get educated about who is on that ballot. And I failed. I failed when during 2016, and I need to buck up and research who's on the ballot, you know, for this election.
But you know what, to be honest with you, I can't remember like really heavily looking into like researching this in high school, because we just weren't taught. We were taught like the basics of the Constitution, but you're not taught understanding current day you know, policies. I mean, I know they did in like AP US history, but I wasn't part of that. You know what I mean? Again.
A-Push, oh my God, A-Push was just it was all historical. They never taught us anything regarding the elections. The class U.S. government, everything was brushed over. Everything. And I'm a history nerd. Everything was brushed over. They never took us through any exercises where we had to go to the courthouse and actually meet people and know their roles. They never told us what this position is. They never told us, okay, this is a ballot. Well, they told us what a ballot is, but they didn't really emphasize on how important our own ballots within our counties are. Mm-hmm. You know, so.
You're also a map nerd.
I'm a what nerd? Oh, yeah, I like maps. I like maps. Speaking of maps, I'm so happy that countries around the world protested. The fact that, okay, I saw Dublin, Ireland. Okay, bro, y'all don't even have black people and they fed up. That was really ignorant of me. I know you guys have black people. I'm just trying to be humorous. But you get the point. Like New Zealand, Brazil. Oh my God, Brazil has a very bad rap with police brutality. Because, you know, people in Brazil, they're black, white, brown. Mm-hmm. The darker skinned Brazilians, they get treated like black folk here in America too. So to see all these countries be fed up, you know, Trump said the world is laughing at us. No, they're not. They're laughing at you. Mm-hmm. Okay.
I also never understand what he means when he says, like, we're going to win. Like, what? Win what? I don't understand. I don't get it.
Who's we? Man.
Yeah, like I said, this whole situation and everything that's going on, you need to just, like you said earlier, make that judgment for yourself and really educate and read. And I explained an example to you earlier this week where there was an article about 6 officers that died in the past 10 days. I didn't give any context to it in my caption. I just said my heart aches, and they go out to their families.
David Dorn.
They angry reacted the status, and I was like, if you actually read the article, it shows that one died of brain cancer, the other one died from the virus. I'm like, so you just made the assumption. You read the title, you made the assumption that those deaths were caused by rioting. So that goes to show ignorance. I'm like, you guys need to educate and read context and understand and make intellectual judgment.
Yeah. No, go ahead, finish.
I was just going to say, don't follow so blindly. Like, I like to emphasize, if you follow someone, you know, so dearly, but you see that they're making grave mistakes, then you have to question. No matter how much you like them or support them, you have to question their principles and their morals. That's the most important thing, no matter what side they are on. You have to question for yourself and question their morality.
Preach. And with that said, I just want to say rest in peace, David Dorn. You know, there's a lot of people who are saying, everybody who is protesting, they're saying Black Lives Matter, but David Dorn died in protest. Okay, his life did matter.
Mm-hmm.
I'll be the first one to say it. Yes, he was a police officer. Yes, he was trying to help. He was killed in a brutal way. And, you know, his life didn't matter. And it hurt for me to see that footage. Rest in peace, David Dorn. Thank you for your service. And it sucks because I don't want to see Black people die on my timeline. We're so numb to it. I'm sick and tired of seeing it. Mm-hmm. But that's what we have to do to prove ourselves. Isn't that ridiculous? Like, what? Oh my God, if we didn't have cell phone footage, girl.
I mean, the price you guys have to pay to make it known that it needs to stop. I mean, it's heartbreaking.
Yeah. So what have you been doing yourself, you know, something on your part to make the change happen in America in terms of, you know, calling out racism and police brutality?
Well, I had to make that change by starting with myself and understanding what I did wrong in the past years, being a passive observer of racism, looking at what my implicit biases were and reevaluating what that was. As soon as I was able to make that change in my head and realize that, you know, because it's not happening to me, I don't have to worry about it. Changing that mentality is going to make a huge difference. That's where I started. Whenever I see racism on my timeline, I confront it. I don't stay quiet anymore. I have discussions. I don't, you know, people just like to say things, but I genuinely question those opposing views. And I like to open that discussion up and ask, why is it that you think what you think, you know? That's a way to start. The conversations that I've had on Facebook where they start off being very, I don't know what the term for it is. I can't think of it at the moment, but they start off very biased. And then when I call them out, like, okay, well, how could you just brush off the 10 lives that were taken, you know, or whatever it is that you were trying to comment on. And then we get into a deeper conversation about, okay, well, what is it that you're so concerned about? You know, these were my experiences. I know they're real. These are my friends' experiences. They're definitely real. I've witnessed some. So what is it that you're arguing? You know, and then even just having that conversation of like, how could we be productive about this? When people are sharing the Candace Owens video that's circulating, you know, having that discussion of what I agreed with and what she said and what I did not agree with what she said. And actually coming to the discussion of what are possible solutions. So going back to your question, what I am doing is trying to educate people, trying to educate myself on a daily. I read different articles, different laws, different systems that we have in place, the things that I agree with, the things that I don't agree with, making those judgments for myself, being able to express that to others, giving and sharing links to organizations that you can donate to, things that you can petition, constantly just sharing, confronting and sharing, and then also joining those in protest.
Right.
So that's what I'm doing right now, and that's what I think people need to start doing.
True.
And having those conversations with their family, I think, is extremely important. It starts in the home.
Yeah. There, you know, I want to touch on that with having conversations with people. You have to be strategic on who you choose to educate and who you talk to. There's going to be times where you're just out in public and you're caught off guard by what somebody says, and you have to have that mental note, okay, do I really need to spend my energy on this? Or should I actually confront them? Right. You know, you're going to exhaust yourself
doing
if
that.
You're constantly having conversations with people who disagree with you. It's definitely important, but sometimes you don't need to waste your energy. You know, people are going to learn for themselves, and you can let somebody else do that. All right. I'm not going to be out here talking to every neighbor outside, talking to every person downtown Naperville. Hey, you want to talk about racial injustice? You know, if somebody says something to me and I decide, you know what, it's just not my energy right now. I want to check my heart, and I'm just going to pray for them. Okay. But if there are instances where it just really hurts me, and I'm like, you know what, let me actually talk to them, or let me actually put that person in check, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So it just watch who you talk to and ask yourself, is it worth that point in time right then and there to engage? And that, especially for online trolls. I love the social media justice warriors, and I'm so glad everybody who follows me have been calling out Karen from Naperville. That woman,
Karen.
bruh. But you don't have to engage with every single troll.
Right.
You are going to exhaust yourself. Your mental state, you're going to just be negative for a long time if you keep on agitating and you keep on falling for those troll traps, you know.
Right.
So
and what I mean by confronting too is that when you do see someone that you know, like for example, one of my mom's good high school friends who's like diehard Trump supporter, you know, Republican, whatever, and just constantly shares ignorant stuff. That's dangerous. That's stuff I felt compelled to speak out on. But again, it goes based off of each person. It's to your discretion, you know. And that's why we all have each other. We have this community. When one person gets tired of having to speak for themselves, other people will speak out for them.
Exactly.
We have each other. That's what's important.
Yeah. And I think it's smart if you know that you don't have a close relationship with somebody and you're like, you know what, if I cut them off, will I be okay? Then you can cut them off. If you've tried to talk with them, or if you know they're just hard-headed, like,
those are called boundaries.
Right, those boundaries. Now, if it's somebody that you actually have a close friendship with, and I had a talk with a friend earlier this week. It was a small, short conversation. I said, look, girl, we have different political views. We have different stances. We're not going to agree on some things. All right. And in the back of my head, I was like, some things you post irritate me, and I'm sure some things I post irritate you, but girl, we're going to be friends. All right. And that's where you have to check your relationships, which relationships are worth it, which relationships are not. And if those relationships are worth it, it's going to be hard to have those conversations with them, but there's going to be a point in time where you're just going to have to let them fend for their own.
Right.
But maybe show through action, show through love, and maybe they'll come around, you know. And that's one way to do it. You don't have to have a Harvard debate with them all the time, you know, because then what's the friendship? You guys are just debating all the time, you know. So that's my take on that.
And also people are receptive in different ways. So like you said, people will sometimes be more open-minded if you do have a Harvard debate with them, and then they're like, oh, okay, now I understand. Or through that action, that will speak louder to them than just throwing words at each other. So there's that too. Everyone learns differently.
Yeah, exactly. Well, also during this time, I want to say, you guys check your mental health. I had to check my mental health this week, and I'm a strong Black woman, but I broke down this week. I have suppressed these feelings about race in America for 24 years. And finally, I'm like, I want to be outspoken. I want to do my part. I want to help in ways that I can help. And if that means taking a day or two off of work, not studying for a day or two, not working out, because y'all know I love working out. I haven't worked out in a week for the people. That's how much I love my people. I sacrifice my physical health. So you guys check your mental health. Like, this is hard for a lot of people. And, you know, I was talking to a friend, and she was like, I would never understand how a P.O.C. or a Black person can live day to day in America, but everything going on right now is giving me anxiety, but I still want to listen. I still want to learn. what I'm going to do to bring change in America is just going to be a little bit different because I want to make sure I'm in a healthy state. I was like, girl, do you. If that's what you need to do, do you. And it's not good to be negative all the time. That's why today I was like, you know what, I'm just going to post positive and funny stuff on my story. Still educate people, but, you know, share some positive things.
Dude, I watch Chicago footwork every day.
He was getting it. He was getting it on that cop car. That was the most Chicago shit. Oh my God. I know I'm from the suburbs, but I know Chicago footwork, and I know you can. I don't do it, but the fact, and I was telling you the other day, the fact that Black people, we go through so much stuff, and we still have time to sing and dance and laugh during this. The media won't show everybody singing and dancing during these protests. Holding hands, being in solid. The media won't show that. I've seen it firsthand. The Aurora protests, we got crunk. You know, people were dancing, they were twerking. I don't know why you need the twerk for Black Lives, but she did. She did. Oh, but people were singing, blasting music. It was such a beautiful thing, and the fact that I don't know, that's just a love language of the Black American culture. Dancing and singing and laughing, you know. So, like Kendrick Lamar said, we're gonna be alright. Change is coming. You know, these protests, I don't think they're gonna stop anytime soon. So if y'all tired, I'm sorry. I'm keep on. I think I'm going to a protest on Sunday, but
actually, I think there is one. There's one near. We're supposed to be going to Chicago too. So I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah. So, well, let's end the conversation on a light note. So Dianne is a singer. The girl was on American Idol and The Voice. Well, like before the TV part, right? It was just auditions.
Yeah. The Voice was like in California when they did executive callbacks, which was the rounds right before you make it to the blind auditions in front of the judges. And then for American Idol, I actually got to meet the judges.
Nice.
The most terrifying experience for me. I was like, okay, all right, keep it together.
How was J-Lo?
I don't know, because I can't make a judgment off of my experience with her since I was the second to last person to go. So she was tired of hearing people's crap voices.
Man, if I saw J-Lo, girl, she... Anyway.
No, I swear. She was like, at the moment I walked in there, she had stone cold hard face, and she was like,
really?
Didn't even say... I was like, should I just quit now? Never mind. I changed my mind. It was scary.
Man. All right. So, we're going to play a game called Song Association.
I'm sweating already.
I know, me too. This hyperhidrosis. Man. I don't think we have the air on either. Anyway, we're going to play Song Association. We're going to have 5 rounds. We're going to have a practice round, though. Okay? So, I give you a word. You have to sing a song that either has that word in the title or in the chorus. Okay? You ready? So.
No.
Oh, and it has to be a Black artist because Black Lives Matter. Read the room. Stick it to a theme.
Perfect.
All right. So, the first word. If you don't get this, I'll be disappointed. The first word is love. Go. Sing a song with love in it.
Okay.
This is the practice round.
Oh, okay. Like that makes a difference. Baby, it's you. You're the one I love. You're the one I need. You're the one I just messed that up.
Okay, it's okay.
Come on, baby, it's you.
I would sing along if I knew how to sing, but I don't. All right. I'm so glad you chose Beyonce. Look at you. All right, so first round. Okay.
My heart, like, just picked up 20 beats per minute.
The first song, the first word of the first round, juice.
It ain't my fault that I'm out here getting loose. Gotta blame it on the goose. Gotta blame it on my juice, baby.
Okay, show off. All right, round 2. Round 2 is say.
Oh crap. Shoot, I don't know what half the thing she's singing in the song. Didn't even notice your punches are to roll with. You got to keep me focused. You wanna say so? Doja Cat.
Oh, okay. I was gonna go Beyonce or or is it Destiny Child? Say my name.
Oh,
I think that was the easiest.
Oh,
you did a good job.
I messed that up.
All right. Third round. Rise.
Ooh. I rise up.
I knew you were going to sing that one.
Rise like the day. I rise up. Rise unafraid. I rise up. And I do it 1,000 times again.
Ooh, child.
I'm going to make a cover of the song. Anyways, what's the next round? I got that one.
Can you sing at my wedding?
Oh, girl, yeah. I don't know if I'd be able to hold it together.
You will. All right, round four. The word is want.
Oh, my Lord. Crap. Oh, my gosh. I'm so in love with you. Whatever you want to do is all right with me. Ooh, that's one of my favorites.
Wow. Damn. Kamari, we should have picked harder words, girl. Okay, all right. The last round, the word is smile.
That's a tough one. Crap. Okay, this one isn't even fair. Okay. Smile though your heart is aching. Smile even though it's breaking. Though there are clouds in the sky, you'll get by. That one's originally written by Charlie Chaplin, but Nat King Cole did a version that I'm in love with.
Okay.
He's one of my top favorites.
I'll give it to you. Wait, is Doja Cat black?
Yes.
Oh, well, I was today years old. Okay, cool. I was like, I can't believe I didn't know, girl.
Say my name, though. That would have been a good one.
All right, Dianne, thank you for joining, girl. This has been a great talk. I hope you guys had some great takeaways. Dianne, any last remarks?
Stay aware, observe, be there for each other, understand people even though, you're not in their personal situation. Just stay open-minded, take care of yourself. Keep sharing good stuff, keep being positive. There's hope for a change. I do believe that wholeheartedly. And also, thank you so much for having me on here. That last segment made me want to poop myself. I hate being on the spot.
Well, I had to, advertise your talent somehow in a positive way. So
I appreciate it.
You're welcome. Everybody, go follow my girl Dianne on Instagram at Dianne Pajo Music and her fitness page at Dianne Pajo Fitness, right? Did I say those right?
Yeah, what's up?
Cool. Awesome. She can sing, she can dance, she can kick your ass because she can box, and she'll whoop your ass into shape too. So she can do all of it. All right. Bye, Dianne.
Thank you so much. Love you, girl.
See ya.
Bye.
All right, so I just want to end off by saying, first of all, thank you guys for joining and listening. We will be posting this to YouTube, so if any of your friends missed the episode tonight, just head over to YouTube. All in the Fam will post this up. Just some calls to action in our bio on All in the Fam and my personal Instagram page. There is a link to ways that you can help with the movement, whether it's donations, whether it's information, small Black businesses. There's so much information and petitions that you can sign and donate to and gather just a whole lot of information. So that link is in the All in the Fam bio. I just want to say I'm so happy that I am using this platform in a positive way. This podcast is called All of the Fam for a reason. You know, it's all inclusive. Everybody, whether you're Black, white, Asian, Latino, okay, whether you're gay, straight, Muslim, Christian, whatever religion, whatever lack of religion, this podcast is for you. This content is for you. We're going to be talking about a whole lot of topics and having just very in-depth and humorous conversations. So with what's going on right now, donate, educate yourself, have conversations. Also check your mental health, check your privilege if you have it. We're all in this together, and it's us against racism. It's us against police brutality. It's us against systematic racism and injustice. Okay, we all need to do our part. Whatever way you need to do your part that fits you, do it. Okay, I want to hold you guys accountable. And, many of my followers, many of my friends, you guys have been doing a great job. And my DMs, my text messages have been flooded. So I'm sorry if I haven't gotten back to you in a reasonable time. I will, trust me. I see your messages. I see your hearts, and I love it. There are a couple people from high school where I never thought they would change their hearts, but they did. And that is because of you guys. And that is because, we're all sharing things that need to be shared. And we're all speaking up for the people who need to be spoken up for, So that's that. Lastly, there will be a raffle prize. So tune in next Friday. We will have a raffle prize, and that raffle prize is a $50 Uber Eats gift card. Okay? It's coming out of my own pocket, so you guys better participate. So what you need to do, after this Instagram Live is posted, we're going to post the steps. The steps to win a $50 Uber Eats gift card is you need to follow us on Instagram. You need to subscribe to us on YouTube, which is All in the Fam. And you need to post the post that we're going to post after this. I know that was a lot. To your Instagram story and tag 3 friends. Okay, next Friday, we're going to announce the next winner, or announce the winner of the raffle prize. So yeah, you guys have a great night. Every Friday until the end of season 2, we're going to be doing a Fam Friday. Next Friday, we'll be having my girl Justin Kieta on. And yeah, I'm excited. So peace and blessings. You guys have a great night. Stay safe. You're going to be protesting this weekend. I love you guys. Bye.